How do you get out of your comfort zone?
I think it's you have to realize your anxiety's a liar, and then all the good is outside your comfort zone. Like
Mm,
everything that you're comfortable with doing is sure it's cool, it makes you feel good, and there's a lot of things that probably serve you. But like if you were just to hop on a plane right now and go to North Dakota and start bouncing around,
mm,
like that is way out of your comfort zone, but you're going to meet people, you're going to see things, you're going to do things, and those things are going to affect how your life goes on. So like you could either sit in your couch and, go on your computer all day and do the same things you do every do, or you get out of your comfort zone and you realize that anxiety is a liar, use that fear to keep you going as an energy and just keep going forward. Like
right.
that voice in your head, listen to it, but like don't realize it's not you. You're just a silent observer of those thoughts and just keep going. Do what is going to make this happy. Everything else.
Right.
If this isn't happy, this isn't going to be happy. And regardless of how much money or you accumulate, it's not going to fill that hole.
Young Drunk!
Welcome to another great podcast of Path to Possible. We have Mike McDermott today. He is the owner of MBM Property Management Company, and he's also a realtor. Looking forward to hearing your past, bud. Hey, so we were looking at your website. There's a aerial view. Did you do the what do you call it? The drones? You know, a lot of people are doing the droning now.
Yeah. That wasn't me personally. That was a company I used
Okay.
for all my photography. And they just took a really cool picture of the Columbia River there on top of my now brother-in-law's warehouse that he was selling in Columbia, Pennsylvania, not far from Lancaster. But I just thought it was a cool shot.
And what river is that, you said?
I believe it's the Susquehanna.
Okay.
I could be wrong though.
Very cool.
I'm rarely wrong, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, you made a lot of money on that, though.
It was okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It was
No
okay.
discounts for family. I don't care.
Actually, yeah, I do that all the time. I don't broadcast myself as a discount realtor, but one of the things I try to pride myself in is helping people make the most money can or keep the most money they can. And if there's any fees or anything I could waive in my commission to help you out that way, I will do it just because I'd rather have someone come back because a job was well done and you made a lot of money as opposed to just, I used you before. So I try and keep it
That's awesome.
keep it honest.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So take us back where your path really started.
I guess if we're talking about my path to real estate, it probably started when I was working at SEPTA and I had to get out of my parents' house and I bought my first property. I saw the process, watched the guy who did it, and kind of just came to the conclusion like I can do this too. It's not, it's not hard. So as I was at SEPTA, I went to the real estate classes, took the test, got my license, got into the business, found out it was nothing like I thought it was from the outside. But I kept my license while I was working at SEPTA. I worked in a warehouse for like 5 or 6 years, manual labor, 6 a.m. start, 2:30 stop, overtime, 2 hours a day, which wasn't bad, but it wasn't my favorite thing to do. Let's say I knew somewhere inside of me that like that's not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Moved on from the warehouse, got a job downtown at SEPTA, 1234, corporate setting, you would say. I worked there for about a year, had a great pension. I think I paid $3 a month for my health care. I could take off whenever I wanted to, as long as I was in by 6 o'clock, took my lunch at a decent time and left at 2:30. I could have retired there in 30 years and had a great pension. But after a year working there, I realized sitting behind a desk and just like typing in the numbers and looking at a screen wasn't the healthiest thing for me. So I just made the leap into full time with real estate. But luckily enough, I had some rental properties to fall back on at that time, to where my cost of living wasn't too high and I was able to transition into it. And from there, I kept my license and became a licensed property manager at JG Real Estate on Frankfurt and Girard and learned a ton there through project management, property management, being a realtor, and just kind of like doing a lot of things for the owner who owned like 1,000 properties. And then I left there full time to go to another job full time, which I was telling you about on the way here. I drove down City Line Ave for, I want to say maybe 6, 7 months at 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours into the day. And the stress from driving on that road absolutely drove me insane. So I quit that job and just went real estate full time. And I've been doing that since, just helping people rent their properties, sell their properties, flip properties, buy investment properties, just any way I can add value and trust in such a big decision That's what I try to do with real estate to people. I try not to pigeonhole myself and say I'm one thing.
Mm.
I just want to be able to be everything that you could need in a good transaction process so we can keep doing it and just pretty much where I am today.
Right. And as a realtor and what you started doing at SEPTA, it's all great stuff. You went to Drexel
Drexel University.
Drexel
Yeah. Drexel
University. Okay.
University.
So you went to Drexel University for what, 4 years?
Uh, I transferred from Newman. I did 2 years at Newman.
Okay.
I think I had
Okay.
like a 4.0 GPA there. That school wasn't the most challenging.
Holy
Then I got to
moly.
Drexel and kind of flipped around and I had like a 2.0 GPA for 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
And I was on the 5-year program, but my GPA had gotten so low that I had to get it above a 2.0 to pass. And what happened was I took one math class 8 times at Drexel. I failed it 8 times. And when I was 30 years old, sitting in front of an academic advisor, he looked me in the eyes and said, "How did we let you do this?" And I said, "You should not be asking me that question, right? You should have asked me that question 10 years ago when I failed it the first time." So I took a night class I had to get an A in the class just to get out of Drexel. And I took that night class, got the A, got my GPA out. So it took me like 6 or 7 years for that 5-year program.
Mm.
And I not really told people about that like at the time because I wasn't the proudest of it, but it is what it is at this point. So like, yeah, I was at Drexel for the 5-year program, but I could have got my doctorate for the time that I was there. But yeah,
No,
got out with a degree in business administration.
I could definitely relate to that. So when you're at Drexel and you're going through all these classes, and one of the things that just doesn't resonate is the math, right? And mm, school math and life math are definitely a whole different breed, right? What helped you make that move from SEPTA to a really scary, risky business? So your path is a little different. So you had a great career, you had a great pension coming your way, you had everything you needed. Was there any fear that came in?
Oh my God. Yeah, I think that's probably the driving force in my life up, until very recently. Fear drives everything. And I can't lie to you and say I could pinpoint one thing and say, "Oh, this was the day I woke up and said, I'm going to give up all this at SEPTA." Like I remember sitting in the woman's office for my pension when she had to cut me the check for what was in there. And she was like, "What are you going to do with this?" And I was like, "I'm going to buy a duplex today." And she was like, "All right, whatever." Like she
Nice.
didn't, but that would have been X amount of dollars for the rest of my life. Like that's, like you said, everybody wants that. And I don't know how much I was rationally internalizing all this and coming up with answers, but something inside of me was driving me like with that fear as the co-pilot to do that. And I remember the day I left there, like getting on the train, I didn't have my SEPTA pass anymore. I had to pay to take the train home. And the guy who was on the train, I've seen him for the past, year every single day, the 6 a.m. train. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I just quit my job." He's like, "What do you quit? You quit your pension?" All I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he looked at me like I just said something in Latin, you know what I mean? To like put a curse on him. And like again, I can't lie and say like, "Oh, I saw this," or someone, was like, "Hey, Mike, you got this," because nobody in my life told me that. Everybody told me you shouldn't leave that job. It's secure. Every 2 weeks you're getting paid. You're getting a raise every year. You have health care. You have a pension. You're crazy for leaving that. But well, again, so that fear as a co-pilot, I was driving that car and I was like, I need to do it for some reason. I just needed to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And I can't say like it was like, oh, this is what sparked me, but it was like something inside of me knew it. It just whatever it was.
You just needed to go.
I I don't like again, I can't say like it was a rational thought that I was like, oh, this is it. It was something, it was a feeling. It was, might have been when my depression was at its highest where I was probably 195 pounds just being sedentary all day. I wasn't lifting, wasn't training, wasn't doing anything. It was a total different life. Didn't have a dog, was engaged, was living with my fiance at the time, was
Yeah.
trying to get the picket fence house, the big house, so we could do that. And was kind of the goal. But I think along that path, something inside of me wasn't copacetic with it. And it was making me feel, worse. It developed that depression and to the point where something had to give.
Groundhog Day.
Pretty much, yeah.
And so
which is one of my
Because
favorite
you
movies, by
didn't
the way.
put your mask on first, which they teach us in
Hmm.
when you anytime you go on a flight, they always say put your mask on first.
Right.
Take care of yourself, then you can take care of everybody else.
Right.
You can't have a woman heal you if you're not healed yourself. If you're not happy, there's no woman in the world, there's no person in the world, there's no dog in the world or a career that's going to make you happy.
Correct.
So you went through the muck and you found happiness.
I'd say yes and no. I feel like happiness is kind of an emotion
Okay.
and it's not kind of a state of being. So I would
Mhm.
say where I am, I'm kind of just more content with the daily ebbs and flows of life, just to be able to, regardless of what happens, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But I mean, I don't want to say I'm not happy because I am. I would say I'm a lot better off than I was before.
Right.
But it's not just a constant bliss and, oh my God, this is great. Let me post it on Instagram. You know what I mean? It's life.
Well, I mean, how hard is it to be in your situation right now? You know, talking about the emotion of being happy. You were telling me that you were in Puerto Rico for a month. It Did that make you happy, or was it just a pure bliss of like is it a different being like when you get on that plane? Sometimes like a lot of people get on the plane and they're nervous and they're like, oh man, I
Hmm.
can't do this flight, but you get through because you want to get to your
Hmm.
destination, and once you
Hmm.
get to your destination you're good. um Now you're saying that happiness is an emotion. What does that mean?
I mean, kind of look at it as like, imagine life is just the ocean, right? And we have emotions and thoughts and everything are just the waves. Like
Mhm.
it's going to come, it's going to go. So you can revel in the happiness, but eventually it's going to be back to, normal, and it could be worse, but they just come and go like waves in your life. And you just have to realize that it's not permanent. Being in the present moment and content, or just, I guess you could use happy as emotion for where you are and who you are as a person, kind of is my goal more than just try to be happy all the time,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. So if you had someone, um, someone younger than you, let's just say Dylan at what were you, 2000, buddy? 98.
Phew.
So someone
We
who
were in
was,
eighth grade when he was born.
right? Someone who was born in 98, someone who was born in 87, 88, 90, it doesn't matter. Someone younger than you, and they don't know, like, they go to the clubs, they're like, "Oh, I feel like this is fun." Or they're doing this, or they're doing that, and they're like, "This is a lot of fun." But the next day, like, you wake up
Right.
feeling full.
Right.
And, like when I went to the clubs, I never felt full
Right.
after that day. I never felt like I did anything good.
Sure.
When I cut the grass, I feel full,
Sure.
you know?
Sure.
So how would you describe this to somebody who is younger and coming up? Um, and I only say this because you say that happiness is an emotion. Agreed. How can you describe, like, what are you after? What do you want to go? Like, what do you want to teach somebody? Like, don't go for 1 hour of emotion, one 15-minute session of sex.
Right.
Don't go for that. Go for a full life. So
Right.
can you, I mean, I think you can, I definitely asked you a lot of
No, I
shit
know what
on
you're
this
saying.
one.
I know what you're saying.
So if you can kind of describe a little bit more about how do you go for that full emotion than just a 15-minute
Right.
hit?
I think, I mean, regard like that 15 minutes, like that whole process of what everyone is doing is part of the process to get you where you're supposed to be or where you want to be. But at the same time, with what you're saying, I feel like you have to figure out who you are first before you can figure out what you want or what you want to go after. Because, like, back in my position, if I was just going with everybody else did and I just wanted a big house with kids and wasn't really focused on the word I'm looking for, but I guess like the soulful aspect, and I'm just trying to check boxes and get to the next thing so I can acquire the next thing. I feel like, again, I don't really like giving advice, but what I try and do is when I have advice for people, I just shut my mouth and try and take it myself because I just try and look at it as like most people don't like being told what to do. So if they ask me, then sure, I'll tell you what my perspective is. But I would say you got to figure out who you are first and what you want. I mean, you might not want the same thing as Mike Sage wants. You might want to live in an ashram in India for 20 years and, worship cat, whatever it may be. So until you know who you are and what you want, you can't really figure out what you're going to go after because you might go down that road and that's not the path you want to go down. And before you know it, you're 20 miles down a road of something that's not really satiating you or making you feel like you're complete or whole. Like you're saying with cutting the grass, regardless of what it is, if you're present in that moment, doing it the best you can, and it's almost like you're helping your family and doing something, a responsibility, that's why you feel good because it's not, you're not really so much doing something for yourself or for others, but it's something that you had to take care of. You did it. You took your time to pay attention and do it correctly, and now it's on to the next thing. And you just feel good because you did that the right way, as opposed to just doing something to go through the motions. So again, I feel like you just know
Mm.
who you are, and then you can figure out what you want, and then from there, everything you do should just coincide with that. But you also have to have these real conversations with yourself. You have to sit with yourself for a little bit and say, all right, what does Mike want? What do
Right.
I want out of this? What do I want the next 10 years, the next 2 days? I mean, if you don't know what you want, you're going to get what Mike says he gives you, right?
Yeah.
If you know what you want, you can go out and get it. And to pursue it in an honest and truthful way, you got to be truthful with yourself, regardless of what it is. If
Well,
you want to be a weightlifter, a bodybuilder, or a TikTok influencer,
Yeah.
you got to know what it is.
Not a lot of us are truthful with ourselves. That I can agree with. Hey, Dylan, did you get the text message that I sent you? Can you bring up the one quote that I wanted to show? I really want to bring this up because you get to the point where you say that you had to make a lot of changes. And, finding ourselves, and I'm going to give bossbabe.inc a lot of credit on this one because it is really cool. I'd never seen this quote before.
One of my favorite philosophers, bossbabe.inc.
Bossbabe.inc. Yes, she was definitely, we learned about her in college, I
Right,
think.
yeah.
And it could be a dude. I have no idea, But the clip is becoming the version of yourself. Becoming the best version of yourself comes with a lot of goodbyes. Wow. So
It's a lonely path. It really is.
it's a lonely path. And even if you're married,
Mhm.
even if you have a girlfriend, even if you have kids, even if you have a dog, you get into a position where you're like, shit, I got to say goodbye to a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
One of the biggest things that I was talking to one of my friends about this, and I was like, I got to say goodbye to Party Boy. No more fucking around, no more taking your clothes off, no more
Right.
running around the streets as
Stuff we
sea
thought was
aisle
fun. Yeah, yeah,
naked. Yeah. I mean, you just don't want to do it.
Right.
One of the biggest goodbyes is to yourself when you get to this point.
Mhm.
So I wanted to bring this up because I really thought this would resonate with you a little bit. So can
yeah,
you
bud.
talk a little bit about the goodbyes that you had to go through?
I mean,
how many?
This might sound weird to say, but I heard this on a podcast the other day. But I live a very monastic life.
All right.
I have very few people that I talk to daily besides my parents, my sister, and like people that are close to me. I monitor the input I get from the outside world, whether it be from people, social media, the news, all that stuff. I spend a lot of time in self-reflection, probably too much. I meditate every day. All of these are solo activities. And the more you start working on yourself, you kind of weed out the people that aren't going to help you in that process, whether it's naturally or you just go like, listen, I don't want this person in my life anymore. Every time I talk to him, he's negative. He does nothing for me. He's not really a friend. I've heard what he said. Like that's a conscious choice. But most times I'm sure you did it when you were buying your businesses, like you're just doing different things now. And then the same people that are, getting high every Friday night and going to the bar until 2 o'clock in the morning, that can't be your lifestyle anymore because you now have priority in this. So like, it might be weird, but like all that stuff that I've been doing for myself, it's like you can't, who can you talk to about meditation than other people that meditate? So like you find yourself struggling even to relate to people. Like we were saying yesterday, we watch clips of sports so we can have conversations with people in a daily context and not sound like some nerd that we thought, when we were younger. We would
Right.
go to we watch every Eagles games, like we had, you name it, we were about it. And now it's not even part of our lives anymore because I don't care what like I was gonna say Deshaun Jackson, like he even played the Eagles for 10 years. You know what I mean? I don't care what he does on a daily basis. He doesn't care what I do. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like that's not gonna affect me at all. But like everybody we know from high school and college, what do they talk about? It's like, oh man, did you watch the Birds last night? Go Birds. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's awesome. I
Go
respect it.
Birds.
You love that. That is what it is. But I didn't watch the game. Like I watched the Super Bowl so I could talk to people about it.
Right.
But like if you don't do all these things that your old friends are doing or the masses are doing, you just find yourself walking this path where it's like people aren't calling you to hang out anymore because nah, man, I don't drink. I don't go to the bar. Do you want to like go walk in the woods? Or like, all right, you're weird. I'm not doing that. So like right there, you just start
Am I
losing.
coming out alive?
Exactly. You start losing people because your interests aren't the same anymore. So like the more I think you focus on yourself or whatever you want to do, you naturally and by force of your own nature start weeding those people out. And when you're younger, you have 50 friends, you have 100 friends that you would hang out with every weekend. Like people be at the footbridge 100 deep. And now Friday night, I mean, you have kids, but on a Friday night, I'm eating pizza with my parents. You know what I mean? I'm in bed by 9:30 if I have nothing else to do. And it's like, that's your circle. So like, yeah, you lose a lot of people being the best version of yourself. Is it worth it? I mean, that's up to you.
Right.
But I think to make a better version of yourself, if you get rid of the things that aren't helping you, it makes sense, right? Like it's
Well, I struggle with this one thing. When you say that when your friends start like, I don't want to talk to him because he's negative. I have a lot of we have friends that sit there and they're like, so you're doing this, and that. I don't understand how you're doing it. I don't understand how you're doing all this. Is that a form of negativity? And because and it's
passive aggressive and kind of
yes,
way. Yeah.
and it gets to a point where you're like, man, I don't understand why you would ask that question. Like, I don't know how you're doing this. Why are you doing this? What are you doing? It has nothing to like, dude.
It's not offensive in a way, but it's almost like, who do you think you are?
Right.
Do you think you're better than me because you could do more than me? When you're
Right.
like, dude, I just get up and I put one foot in front of the other every morning and I just keep going. That's what it is. Like, whether or not this fails, I'm going to keep going. That's what it is. Like, for some reason, I guess whoever's asking is okay with their W-2 job and they like what they're doing. But for some reason, Mike Sage, that's not the way you are. And you got to do a different thing.
Right.
Just support them. Don't question it. I understand what you're saying. That's how I would interpret it.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with like a W-2 job. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. Like,
I wish I could be that person. Do you know how many times I said that to my therapist? I wish I was an idiot who went to work every day and just collected that check. And then on Friday came home and forgot about it.
right.
But I can't. I overthink someone. If I see them look at me twice and they're laughing, I think they're laughing at me from across the street. I've never even met them before. That's just how my brain works. So I can't be that person. But I'm jealous of those people who just get that check, get the pension, and their life seems good,
I have many conversations with a lot of people about, I wish I was as content as that person.
But you don't know what's going through that person's head.
You don't know what's going through that person's head. And we all sit there and we're like, oh, they do well for themselves, whether it's 75,000 a year or $200,000 a year, it doesn't matter. All they do is they have a business or they have a job. They go to work, they come home, they have the family, they have the house, and then they go to sports and they do this and they do that and they walk their dog and, take the trash out. Like I just took the trash out this morning.
Right.
I felt like I just conquered the world. And, getting all the trash out of the house, you're like,
Right.
feels so good.
Right.
These people get like that too. But there are certain people that like us that feel that we need to accomplish something different on our own terms.
Correct.
Like if we fail, we want to fail on our own.
I failed so many times.
Right.
Yeah.
shoot.
My whole life. Yeah.
Yeah, I failed
Right.
at school.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I started reading books when I was 27 years old. And I was like,
Crazy how it
I
changes.
never read a book before.
Right. Yeah.
You
But
know?
when you had interest in it and it was something that would benefit you, not just something someone's telling you to do just so you can take the test, get the good grade, and be like Joey who graduated and got that job, but it was
Mhm.
from Mike Sage. You were like, I like this book. This is why I'm going to do it. I'm going to read it.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
This is fun stuff. And making business moves is to me is like, you want to talk about scrolling like a dopamine rush
Mm-hmm.
in social media? My dopamine rush is a business deal,
Sure.
whether it's selling a piece of real estate or buying a business,
Right. That
or
guy comes back to you from today.
Ye-
You're going to get that rush. Yeah.
yeah, and you're going to get that rush, and it's so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
So when you dive into these things, you're reading a lot, right?
Yeah. I love reading.
What's your favorite book that you would push on to somebody else? So like, it's not. I know it's a hard question because you push something on somebody and they're like, I take a show, right? And I'm like, I love Modern Family, and
Right.
I try to push
Shit's
that on
hilarious.
you,
Yeah.
and you don't have a family right now,
Right.
like you don't. You
Don't
have
relate
you
to
have a
it, right.
dog, and like, will you relate to it? It's a funny show.
Sure. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hysterical. But like, if I push that on you, like, oh, this is how family is,
Mhm.
man. No, like,
Right.
you don't know yet.
Right.
You're not ready for that yet.
Right.
You push Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu on me,
Right. You'll feel lost. Feel like you're drinking from a fire
I
hose.
feel like I'm going to get my neck snapped, or you ruining my college career with
Right.
an arm bar, you prick. I remember that.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I remember that. You put me in an arm bar, you prick. What book would you push to somebody that is just coming up, just to kind of like, what would lead them to a different path?
Right.
You know?
I think, I mean, just in this point in my life, I think about the word perspective a lot.
Okay.
Like the way, you can look at things. It's like we talked about it yesterday. It's just like your perspective on how something happens to you. It could be a failure or a learning lesson. And you could take that as you could dwell in your depression and say, this is the worst thing that happened to me. Or you learn from your mistakes, take the licking, and you keep going on. So like, I feel like some of the best books that I've read have changed my perspective, how I've looked at things. And this might sound corny, and I'm sure a lot of people have read it. And I think it is a novel. I mean, it's a novel. It's called The Alchemist. I don't know if you've ever read it. It's a very short book. I've read it a bunch of times. It's easy to read, short chapters, short paragraphs. And I think if you read that and you actually like pay attention to what he's trying to say, I think that's a great book that can change your perspective.
Well, you just said it right there. Are you reading between the lines every time you read a book?
No, sometimes it takes a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it takes to the second or third time you read it to realize, oh, this is what he was trying to say.
Right.
It took, I mean, I don't want to spoil the book, but it took me a couple of times to read The Alchemist to realize that this second to last thing that happens to him wraps up majority of the book. And that's, I don't want to say it, but like that's why it's one of my favorite books, because it's just a simple story, but the process that he goes through turns him to who he is and gets him to where he needs to be. And he doesn't trust it the entire time.
Now, would you say that you need to read a book numerous times? Because I've never had a great comprehension to
Right.
books, and I read a few of them multiple times
Right.
just to kind of understand like what's going on.
Right,
I'll
right.
take notes in some
Right.
books now. I never took a note in my life
Right.
on a book, and then when I started turning 27, I started reading books, and I'm like, I don't know what they meant by this.
Mhm.
So like, I read Who Moved My
I
Cheese.
remember you telling me that, yeah.
I read that like 7 times before I understood what him and Hall and
Right.
Scurry were doing.
Sometimes
like,
it just takes a little.
What were you doing?
Yeah. But on that 7th time, your perspective was different.
Right.
When you read it and then somehow something got in that wasn't in before and now it changed. So like sometimes it takes 100 times. You know what I mean? Sometimes it takes one time. We're not those lucky people that just, it's the first time, but that's what it's about. Yeah. And you got what you needed out of that book. It just took you more than once.
Right. And it's scary because a lot of people will put a book down and be like, that wasn't really for me. Did you read it again?
Right.
Did you try to read it in a different perspective? Did you try to change your mindset?
And did you want to read it?
Wait,
You know what I mean? Like
did
if
you
you don't
want to
want to do
read it?
something as an adult,
Like
What the hell? Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
like, I
like
was gonna make you sit down and play Mario Kart. You'd be like, I don't want to do this. You know
yeah.
what I mean? You wouldn't be into it, you know?
Well, I beat the shit out of my kids on
Right.
Mario Kart, so like my kids still won't beat me, but when they do beat me, it'll be a fantastic thing.
Right.
I hate playing it,
Right.
but I enjoy spending the time with them. And like I know certain people who like I'll recommend a book and they'll read it and they're like, I didn't like it.
Right.
Did you have a different perspective or did you go in negative?
Right.
Like, do you need to be positive going into a book? Do you need to have a different perspective going into a book? Me, I'm open. I listen. Sometimes I veer off. I have to start the chapter again.
You know what one of my friends does, and he told me, and it makes a lot of sense. When
Okay.
he's reading a book, if the audio book is free, he'll put his headphones in, have the person reading it to him while he's going through. So it's like double reinforcement. He's seeing it with his eyes and he's hearing the words.
Right.
So your brain can't really be like, oh, which Joey? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's right there the whole time. And he says that helps him with this. I was like, dude, that's a great idea.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I only do the audiobooks because it's like George Costanza
Right.
when he's listening to the audiobook and it sounds like him reading it to himself and he's
Right.
like, I can't do this. So
Hey, whatever
anytime
works for you, man.
anytime that I read, I'm like, sounds like me.
Right.
And I read at a third grade level.
Now, do you like it when the actual authors read the books, or do you like it when it's someone else?
I like it when it's the actual authors.
Same here, yeah,
but
yeah.
the other aspect, I did read a few books on audio that were not the author.
Right.
And I was like, I felt like it was a different perspective.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So my favorite book is Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey.
Okay.
It's one of my get right books. The things that he went through, the things that he endured, the mental load that he took on.
Seems like a cool dude.
Oh, dude.
For like a celebrity. You know what I mean? He seems like a cool guy.
Well, the things that he did to get right was go to Africa on a journey, and he met these tribesmen, and he he wrestled the one.
That's cool. Yeah.
Right. So you get into this situation, and like a lot of situations that he did that took him away from his path. Right. He went to Australia, and he was dealing with this family that was really weird, and he got out of it. Like you would have to read the book to
check it out, Green Lights.
Green Lights.
Okay.
And he always says like, "Oh, this is a green light for you. This is
okay.
is a red light for you."
I gotcha.
And
I like that. Yeah.
dude, like he struggled as an actor, and then he got typecasted as
kind of like a burnout. Yeah.
No, not a burnout. A romantic comedy.
Right.
So he was in rom-coms, couldn't get out of it.
Right.
And then landed I think it was A Time to Kill.
He was great in that.
Oh, he was fantastic.
He was phenomenal in True Detective that first season.
Dude, that was
Rusty
when that
Cole?
was that was when it
so
got
good in that,
that was when it got like real crazy for him.
Mm-hmm.
But the perspective was a whole lot different. So like I recommended it to a buddy of mine, and he looks over and he's like, You think that's entertaining? I'm
Right.
like, I wasn't trying to be entertained. I just loved his path.
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
Because you probably kind of related to it a little bit, but like you see someone who's wealthier than we could ever imagine to be, and he's a human. He went through shit like we do, and he came out on the other end looking after his green lights and his red lights, which
Well,
when you break it down makes a lot of sense.
It's scary because sometimes a lot of people think money is the true factor of success.
I agree. Yeah.
And when people say define success to you, you're like, yeah, look, making sure my house runs, making sure my family's healthy,
Sure.
making sure my wife is okay, making
You
sure
go to
our
Disney.
making sure our relationships are okay. Some people's success is money. And when they get the money, they don't understand. So when McConaughey got money, he was like, yo, I ain't right.
Right.
I got to go on this venture. I got to go get myself right. And the other quote that I read the other day was, "You can't get healthy in an environment that makes you sick."
I agree with. I mean, look at plants. Look at
Yeah,
flowers. If the ground is terrible for them, they're not going to thrive. If you take it out, put it into healthy soil, fertilize it, feed it, and give it water and sun properly, it's going to thrive.
and there's different zones for that.
Correct.
This is why I want to ask you about Puerto Rico. Tell me about your 30 days living there for an entire month.
I'll be living there longer than that soon.
Yeah, dude, it's incredible what you do. And you wake up, and it's not like you wake up and get fucked up all day and drink all day. You are seriously going down there, enjoying yourself. I mean, it probably takes you what, 3-4 days to recoup from, like, if you're coming from a bad place, right? And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to go
I know what you
down for
mean,
the
yeah.
month. Let me go get right. It probably takes you like 3-4 days to recoup, get right, get your mind, your mental right,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden you're on the. I like to call it a boogie board, but it's probably a surfboard.
Right, right.
And you're like, I don't do surfboards. They scare the hell out of me. Sex wax. I don't want to have sex with a surfboard. But dude, tell me about your experience in that realm, because that's an experience that a lot of people don't do.
Yeah, I started going there probably like 10 years ago, I guess.
Okay.
Just fell in love with the place. I don't even want to say where it is because I don't want more gringos going there.
Yeah,
There's plenty of us already
you
there.
racist prick.
But it's kind of like, to speak to what you're saying, being in the sunshine, eating healthy food. I don't have a TV down there when I'm down there. I don't have cable. I have my iPad if I need to watch something, but I don't really watch TV. I average like a book every 2 days. I spend a lot of time by myself, but I told you before, I meet people. I talk to everyone I can. I'm learning Spanish. So like I have 2 friends down there, Eddie and Angel. If you guys hear this, what's up, guys? But it's, I don't know how to say this without being like, I deal with depression and all that shit.
Yeah.
So being in the sun, eating healthy food, having a workout routine, reading a lot, meditating, training, and just going to bed early and repeating and rinsing this every day does do something for you.
Mhm.
Like the sun's not out here in the winter. Business is slow. People aren't doing much. Like I told you before, I don't have 100 friends. Just so like going down there is a little bit different, and it kind of does reset you. I believe 110% that being in the sun for X amount of hours a day as humans helps you feel better. Almost as like Superman. Like that's where he got his power. If you're in the sun for 4, 5, 6 hours a day, you just feel better as a person. And then you're throwing in a workout routine. You're not behind these screens with the blue light 24 hours a day.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah.
That was Dylan's idea.
Well, I'm sure Dylan knows about what's going on with the blue light. But just doing that for a while, if you need it if it could benefit you, do it. That's why like
Right.
I just, so many people are afraid to do things. And listen, I've canceled a trip by myself to there before 2 years ago because my anxiety had me just in my own head so much down that path, and I canceled a trip, lost every penny I put on it. And now anytime I get anxious about that, I think about that because I'm like, dude, you let your anxiety ruin that for you, of something that could have been beneficial for you. And then when you do go and do things like this, where your anxiety is lying to you, I promise you, almost 100% of the time, it's the best thing for you because you're going to come back and feel better. So as strange as that sounds to a lot of people, like everybody I talked to while I was down there, besides maybe Chris and Bill Cawley, would say, what are you doing down there? What do you do? Are you working? Like, why aren't you working? Why are you not working down there? And I'm like, this might sound weird, but I built my life to have as much free time as I can, to where if I want to go to Puerto Rico for a month in February, I go to fucking Puerto Rico for a month in February by myself.
Right.
I don't give a fuck what anybody says, because when I come back, I know I'm going to be better. And then I take care of my shit. So I shut off all the outside things that people are talking to me like that. And I just do what the fuck I think is best for me. Sorry for saying the F word, but that's like kind of the whole process behind it. But yeah, it's a beautiful place to be. And I'm freaking surfing and just doing jujitsu and drinking dollar beers and eating fried pork all the time.
Right.
Which sounds amazing, but that's what the fuck I want out of life. Like I want to look back and be like, man, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I met, what's her name, when I was in Puerto Rico. I'm glad I took the, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff. So I could just not so much say I did it, but like, I just want to live a life that I'm proud of, that Mike McDermott is proud of.
Right.
Not that Mike Sage, you know what I mean? Not that other people are asking me, what am I doing? Why are you doing this? Why are you not working more? I'm just worried about myself. Good.
Well, I was gonna say, let me ask you, and I'm glad. Like, I love that you're doing this. It's an inspiration to everybody, and it's an inspiration to people that are coming up. It's an inspiration to anybody 40 plus that hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah. I mean, you got to get it. Like a life, it's not short. I mean, it's weird because
It's short.
I believe in the idea of reincarnate. Like we've done this
Yeah.
before, we've done it, we're going to do it again. But like
Yeah.
this, the time we have on this earth, whether it be 70, 80 years, whatever it is, half of it spent in bed, like, there's not much real time we have to do the things we want. So like, if you have the opportunity, take that opportunity to do something that's going to, I just put more stock in like the memories that I want to make and the things that I want to do. Like you saw my car. I drive a 2007 Toyota 4Runner. I pay $50 a month for the insurance. That's it. I could go out and buy a new 4Runner for $900 a month right now for $75,000 with the hot. But like, I'd rather take that money and go and live in a shack in Puerto Rico for a month. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
So let me ask you, you built a lot of things before you did this whole month run. So you have disposable income coming in. You have some money set aside. You did your thing. How can people do this and still be able to manage? Now, and I only ask you this because if you're aspiring to be a family man, does this run out? And we'll get to that because here's my problem. I always bunch a lot of questions
sure, no,
together.
no, I'm listening.
Yeah. So when people are coming up, like you can't do it at 18, you can't do it at 19, 20, 21, right? You got to build something. And if you build something great, that gives you a residual that comes in, and
I was lucky enough to buy rental properties before. I mean, you were an agent for a while before shit just went crazy.
yep,
And I was
absolutely.
lucky to buy them like less than a 1% rule to where they're cash flowing very nice right now.
Mhm.
But like you're saying, I mean, you got to look at what you want. Because if you want a brand new Lexus IS 500, if you want that big house in media, if you want like all those things, that's money. That's time that you have to spend towards building something that's going to support that way you want to live.
Right.
If you don't do that, you're not going to be able to live that way. So like you have to find what works for you to support yourself to build that kind of living.
Okay.
And if those things are all that expensive, you got to figure out a way, especially now, to make real money to support that.
Right.
That's the way I look at it. But like, if that's not what you want, then you got to figure out how to do that to support it. If you want free time and passive income, buy rental properties, put money in the stock market, figure that out. But if you want to be a CEO, you got to go to work every day. You got to be there 5, 6 days a week, working overtime, doing everything that nobody else wants to do to build yourself to be there.
Right. So it's either live like no one else today to live like no one else tomorrow.
Kind of. I mean,
Right.
again, it's what you want out of life. Like I met people when I'm traveling that they work 4 months out of the year, 5 months out of the year, bust their ass at whatever seasonal job they have.
Right.
And then when they're off, they're living in Puerto Rico or Dominican or St. Croix for 6 months.
Just chilling.
Not living like kings, but they're living, and that's what they want to do. And to everyone else, it sounds insane, but back to your happiness. If that's what makes Mark happy, him, just drinking water on a beach or by a river somewhere in Dominican Republic, and that's how he has to get, that's what he's going to do. But if that's not what makes you happy,
So that lifestyle doesn't really resonate with a family.
not even close. Yeah.
So what happens if you were to find a woman, build a life with her, and want to start a family? Does that life go away? How do you incorporate both?
I think like anything else, you'd have to compromise.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You can't, like, it's like you and your wife, you didn't go into the relationship and you're like, this is what I do. I'm going to keep doing it. And if you don't like it, hit the fucking road. And she didn't do that either. You both came in, you're like, all right, this is who I am. This is who I am. Let's figure this shit out. Let's mesh it together. Would I like to meet someone who likes traveling as much as I do? And I feel like that is possible. Yeah.
Mm.
So I think it's like anything else. You just have to compromise. But what compromise is going to keep Mike being Mike and Mike happy?
Yeah.
Like if you sold everything you had just to make Maddie happy, at some point you're going to be content, but then you're going to like be resentful because like, I don't have it. Like I'm not Mike anymore. I did everything to make her happy. So like there is a balance there regardless of what it is. You still got to be yourself, but someone else is coming into your life that you want to cohabitate with, there's got to be compassion, there's got to be empathy, and there's got to be compromise.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely see that a lot,
I mean,
man.
100%. Like,
I love it.
I mean, it's weird. This document, I haven't watched it yet, but it's on Amazon. I can't remember what it is, but it's about this old dude who sailed a ship for like his entire life. And I watched the trailer. Like, he's like in his 90s, and I'm not going to say this correctly, but it's something like, what is the difference between freedom and loneliness?
Mhm.
Perspective, right? This guy spent 90 years on a boat by himself, doesn't have a wife, doesn't have kids, doesn't have friends, doesn't have families, nothing. But he has the ultimate freedom. He does whatever he wants, whenever he wants, goes wherever he wants. But is that loneliness to you, or is that freedom? Because at first it seems like freedom to me, but the more I look at it, this guy's alone. He's got nobody.
Well, he's got this. He's got the open sea.
Right, but he doesn't want to call. He doesn't want to talk to when things are bad. No one's going to show up at his funeral.
Sometimes people want that.
Oh, I agree 100%.
You know?
But it made me think a little bit. It's like, do you want to be that 90-year-old dude on a boat by yourself? Or would you rather compromise, find someone,
Right.
maybe be on a better boat, not out in the ocean,
Right.
with a cool chick and a cool kid, you know what I mean? Like whatever it is.
Yeah. See, me, I wanted to spend my life with a woman.
Right.
I wanted to have a partner in crime, and I wanted to have a family, but I also wanted the opposite end. I wanted a business. I wanted, freedom.
Right.
And what stinks is that when you want all those things and you want to eat your cake too,
Seems like you got the good balance going on, Mike, to be honest with you.
it's a hard thing.
Oh, I'm sure it is, man. I mean, I would never question that in a second. You're doing a lot, man.
It looks, everything looks great. I'm coaching. A business owner.
Right. Multiple business owner.
Yeah, I'm a father. I'm a
husband.
And it's really hard because trying to delegate all these things and, running a business. Like, I wish I ran my business when I was 15 years old, because the youth is wasting on the young.
Right.
Right. We get to a point where
15, you were cutting out of school going to Votech.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah, I was a stockbroker then. Yeah, I remember getting student of the month for that.
So do I.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't have a job. It was awesome. But I was playing, varsity baseball, and it was great.
Right. Yeah.
And like doing all those things, it was so much fun. But when you're, when you want to focus on your business so much, but you know that your kids need you for a minute, or your wife needs you for a minute,
that's got to be beyond tough. Because it's like you have your priorities, and it's, if you let one slip, then it's going to slip even more. But you can't. I understand.
And you find friends that are like, I'm a big golfer, and I love golf. I can golf every day, all day. Give me 36 holes in a day, and I'm okay. It's one of my favorite things to do. The problem is that if I did it the way I do it now, I probably would never make it, because right now, like, every time I get on the golf course, I smoke a cigar. I gotcha. I drink, and I make it a lot of fun.
Right.
And then I look at like other people, and they're out there to golf.
Right.
They're trying to get better. They're trying to get to the tournaments, or they're trying to do this. And I'm like, you start looking at things like you were MMA, right? And
a little bit, yeah.
and you train, right? You were saying that you trained in Puerto Rico. When you train, you're not training for the octagon.
Me personally, no.
Right. But you use the word train. And like, it's like me and golf. Like, I know I'm not going to the Pro Tour.
Right.
I know I'm not going to the Curry, the Corn Ferry tournaments, or the league.
Sure.
I'm not going to the 55 plus senior tour.
Right.
I'm not going to any of that. But your training is more of a mental release. Just like when I train for golf. Like, I don't go to the driving range. I don't go and, chip up
Right.
on a green
I got what you're saying.
for 30 days in a row
Right,
just
right.
to go like shit, dude. I'm out there
To golf.
I'm out there to golf.
Right,
Like
right.
whether if I have a great day, great. Like I'll watch some YouTube clips. I'll take it. I don't go and chip in my yard.
Right, right, right.
It's a release for us.
Sure.
And when you said train, like it that could that can get misconstrued with other people, like, oh, he's training for this
Right,
or he's training for that. No, when I say train, like
right,
that means I'm working out.
right,
That means I'm releasing my brain.
right.
I'm releasing the endorphins in my legs. I'm releasing everything out of my body that
Right.
I need to go. That's what golf does for me. It's a fun time. Sometimes you play with a foursome
Right.
that Sometimes you play with by yourself
Right.
with a threesome that you have never met before,
Strangers, right.
and you have so much fun.
Right.
And you get to learn about people,
Right.
and you get to have fun.
Isn't that one of the coolest things? Just meeting someone stranger you never thought meet before, and they tell you some crazy cool story, and you're like, man, that is insane that you live this life.
Mike, me and my buddy last year, we go to the Dirty Myrtle every year, and we call it our white trash getaway.
Sure.
And we do a week in Myrtle Beach, Pirate Land. We
Right.
love it. It's so much fun. It's living in trailer parks and, just getting down and dirty with it. So we go golfing at Prestwick Country Club. Place is gorgeous
Mhm.
and way nicer than I should even be.
Right, right.
Like I shouldn't be allowed here. So I ended up shooting like 97 or something like that.
That's good though, right?
But no,
Oh.
no, it's
Okay.
dog shit. It's
I thought
like,
under 100 was good.
well, they like you look at the statistic on social media. Yeah, they tell
Okay.
you you're better off getting struck by lightning than breaking
Really?
100.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, whatever their statistics are.
Right,
However, whatever gets them the likes,
right.
it's all good.
Right, right.
But we met these guys, great guys. Two, I would probably say they're millionaires. So they make like $650 a year.
Right.
Nice guys, humble.
Mhm.
Oh, how you guys do? Like, what's your handicaps? I'm like, 17.
Right.
The guy's like, oh, okay. I was like, well, we could put up money. I was
Right,
like,
right,
I don't care. I'll piss money away. I don't
Right,
care.
right.
And he was like, no, we don't have to bet. I'm like, don't be fucking coy with me.
Right.
Like, you want to throw money up, I'll throw money up.
Right, right.
Like, I piss money away.
Right.
You don't.
Right,
you
right.
will like hold on to that as much as you can.
Right.
The reason for my story is that I feel like you're one of those guys that can take their money and do right by it.
Thank you.
Me, I piss it away.
Right, right.
Like, oh yeah, I'll throw 600
Right.
hours down on that. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Just go.
Sure.
Yeah, I disrespect money.
I kinda do the
Always
same
have.
thing. Right.
I always have.
Right.
I feel like you have a little bit more to give about investments, what you would do, like how you would do it, stocks.
I can't lie and say I know a thing about the stock market.
Okay.
I mean, I know what they
Real
are.
real
but I
estate.
couldn't give you advice.
Right. So real estate, you have investments in. Like you're playing your money a little bit differently than a lot of people. Like I said, I piss my money away
Right.
and I put all my money into businesses.
Right.
I don't know anything about stock market.
Right.
I stink at it.
Right.
I'll pluck one and it's great for like 6 months and then all of a sudden it's like
Right. Right.
gone.
Right.
Real estate, once the market tanked and the bank stopped giving any type of bank owned homes.
Yeah, they don't exist anymore, huh?
They
The
don't
ones
exist.
that do are
No.
it's insane.
Thanks, BlackRock.
Yeah. I mean, since we were working together, like well before the pandemic, this
Yeah.
business has done. I don't even. It's not even like a one. It just.
It's not even fun.
It's not even what. I mean, I guess it was fun, but like, yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not what it was anymore. It's just. It's really changed. The technology's changed it a little bit, but just the shortage of houses and the way people buy now and their investment strategies. A lot of people, we talked about this before, just want to be on Instagram, just want to be on like looking like they're doing things. So they might not be in making the most sound investments every time just because they want to create content or be a cool dude. Like it's like anything else. It's just real estate's very local. It's cyclical to an extent, but if you want to make money in that, you got to know where you're putting it right now. And
So you're in real estate. So I know you don't do stocks. I know you don't do businesses. I know you don't.
I'm actually
do it.
looking to buy a franchise right now, but
Oh,
yeah.
We're gonna get to that.
Okay.
I love that.
Okay.
I would love to hear that. I want to ask you about Airbnb, Dylan. Please, we're talking.
Ruin the whole show.
Ruined it. Ruined it.
Just kidding. Dylan's a man.
Temple.
Yeah.
So Airbnbs are the way I always saw it was Airbnbs get me a high rise in Inner Harbor in Baltimore, get me down the shore, get me anywhere. But can we have one in Delaware County?
It all depends on like in Delaware County, there's tons.
I know there's coming in 2026. I know we're going to
regulations are
get
changing a lot of
crushed.
things. Yeah, and I mean not to go back to Puerto Rico, but like when I first started going there 10 years ago, there was under 100 Airbnbs. I'm going to say there was 50 in the area that I stay in.
Okay.
Now there's well over 3,000, and it's just anything that you could turn around and rent and make a profit from. People are turning around and trying to rent out to get those $150, $200 a night profits on their rentals. But it's also hurting the local populations.
I was going to
because
say, why would anybody want to go to like Springfield? And like, there ain't nothing in Springfield. Like, well, you can go to Nick's Roast Beef.
right.
It's fun.
I've seen them before. I don't want to say exactly where it is, but not far from the Vault. And it's like this crazy expensive place to rent there right near a train station. And I just don't understand the market for it, but I guess it kind of makes sense if people are renting it. I mean, we're not that far from an airport. Maybe, if you have a social event for a family, but I kind of agree with what you're saying. It's not the demand that you would get in an inner city or a vacation rental.
Right.
So it's like, if you build your business just based on Airbnbs, you're hoping your ROI is a lot higher because you're charging more. But at the flip side, the vacancies are probably a little bit higher because you're not getting consistent long-term rentals. You're just renting to Joe and Frank for a night and then, Mary and Joe for the next 2 nights, whatever it may be.
Well, Instagram told me that if I bought like 6 properties, I'd make $10 million a year. And
Instagram never lies. Anything they tell you to do.
Anything they tell you to do,
Do
right?
100%.
You do 100%.
100%.
No,
Yeah.
I appreciate that because I've really thought about it. I was like, if I bought
Social
this,
media doesn't lie.
Yeah,
People on the internet always tell the truth.
yes.
If it kind of rubs you the wrong way, put more money into it. And if you meet someone who says they'll do right by you, full trust. That's how I live my life.
So Dylan literally just bought a house while we were talking.
No.
Like I saw him. He's like, dude, you see the $650,000 house that I just bought down the street?
Dylan. Yeah.
Yeah.
All from Instagram influencers.
Yeah.
Good move, Dylan.
Yeah, there's literally no parking. There's
Right.
nothing. Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
It's a
Instagram told you
two-bedroom. It's a
you're good.
two-bedroom condo, $650,000 a year. We're renting it out at
Was it
$6,500.
bossbabe.inc that showed you?
Bossbabe.inc. Please give her credit.
It's 174,000 likes, followed by Steven and one other. So I mean, that's,
I hope it's not a dude because
say it
I keep
probably is.
I keep referring to her as her
Boss Babe.
boss babe because I mean I
Don't assume genders in this day and age, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
no so when you
Circling back.
circling back when you do an Airbnb, a lot of people will make a lot of money on it, and they just don't tell you that location is a huge part of it. We could do something in Springfield, ain't nobody buying that. And,
Right.
and you know what, in Springfield next year 2026 we may, because I think we have World Cup coming. I
That's
think
right. I forgot about that.
dude
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have
That Wawa up the street now.
yeah we got the
Maybe
Wawa
half,
up
yeah.
the street.
It's so
Right,
good,
right,
yeah.
right.
And another one on Bishop Ave. That's even
Yes,
better. Yeah.
yes. I love Wawa.
Brandon was from Delco.
I know.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like the taste is so bad that it made my taste buds
It's like you were saying
ruined.
earlier. As soon as they got rid of the pickle bins, Wawa just went downhill. Wawa, bring back the pickle bins. I don't
Exactly.
even like pickles.
I see. I love the Jewish
Right.
pickles. And are we allowed to say Jewish pickles? Or is that racist? Or is that
What?
prejudice? Come on, Dylan, tell me, man. All right, so we're good. We're Jewish pickles.
I don't eat them, so I don't know what they are.
They could be dill.
Right, right.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Dill-in pickles.
Back on track. So next year we have a lot of tournaments coming up.
Well, you know what? Remember when the Pope was here? There was a lot of people that were Airbnb in their house in Springfield and Morton
Oh yeah,
for crazy amounts of money
Yeah.
because the Pope was coming. So, I mean,
we got Home Run Derby coming next year.
if there's, I mean, you figure we're not that far. You know, if you aren't comfortable, you get on the train, you take it to Center City, and then you take the Broad Street line down to Patterson, and you're there.
Right.
We're not that far, really. So,
So, well,
but does it pay off all
well,
years?
dude, think about this, right? So Bryson DeChambeau, he always Airbnbs his houses that he goes to these tournaments.
That's cool.
Fuck him.
Why?
I want him to stay with me.
Oh, okay.
I want him to be my guest.
He kind of reminds me of you in a weird way.
Why? Because I hit bombs?
Kind of, yeah. But I respect him now that he like started taking his game so much more serious.
Yeah,
and like,
yo, it's
he's
insane.
a legit contender now who also smacks the shit out of the ball. You know what I mean?
Well, he was
he's jacked.
he was one of the most hated. Thanks for noticing,
Right.
dude. Thank you.
But he was
Appreciate that.
hated because like he was like Happy Gilmore, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And he was like cutting corners and this
Okay.
and that and playing. And he like in the beginning, media made him a bitch.
Right.
And then all of a sudden the media was like, oh, wait a second, we like him.
Right. We can make money off him. Yeah.
We can make money off
Right,
him.
right.
Let's build him up.
Right.
So they built him up and he's great. I love him. I love his content. He played with little junior fucking sticks. I love it. If he reached out and said, I want your house because the US Open is in Aronimink next year. Hell yeah, brother. I'm in.
How'd you get my information?
I don't give a fuck. You're staying.
Right, right.
And I'm making you eggs naked.
Aren't there, take it easy, aren't there houses on Aronimink?
They are.
Okay.
Some of them aren't gonna rent them, but a lot of them will.
Right, right. Because you'll make a killing.
You'll
Yeah.
make a killing.
And that's next year, 2026.
Right.
Okay.
Hey, dude, I don't want your money.
Right.
Stay with me. I'll make sure you're
Springfield.
good.
Yeah.
Take care of my kids.
Like when Jerry
Me and
had
my
that
wife are gonna
marathon
go
run.
out for a date night. I'll make you breakfast in the
Right, right.
morning, whatever you want. You
It
want
sounds achievable.
you want a frittata?
Yeah.
Look, dude, I got a Blackstone. I know what I'm
Wawa's right up the street.
Wawa is right up the street. I can do whatever.
Right.
But you know, you get to these points where when you rent my house for an Airbnb, you're not making anything. You got to go down the shore. You got to go up the mountains.
Oh, yeah, just yeah.
I mean, you need that house on the stilts.
Sure. I mean, but it's dependent on the situation because if you have a house somewhere else and your house is paid off, then you're just making money. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
I also don't like the idea of staying in someone else's house as opposed to a rental property. Like you just come in someone's house, you're like, this is a toothbrush here. Like we're sleeping in the same sheets that they slept in last night.
Yeah.
Different than someone who treats their Airbnb.
They
as
literally just had sex last night, and I'm sitting here sleeping in it.
they're sticky,
Yeah,
itchy sheets. Yeah.
not itchy and sticky. What the fuck? Where do you stay?
Dylan, take it easy.
So no,
That motel that used to be Wawa. That's where I stay.
He doesn't like Wawa. He's a sheets guy. It's so hard to understand where you're at. So like me and my wife, let's go to a hotel. It's so much easier.
Then the Airbnbs.
Yeah, I don't want to clean up after myself.
I feel like they're cheaper now too. A lot of hotels. When I was in Arizona,
they
2 weeks
definitely
ago.
lowered the rates because they had to keep up.
But guess what? You can get some nicer hotels for the same price as an Airbnb, and it's cleaner, and it's going to be nicer. You know, it just sometimes it's up to you. Whatever works for you.
Here's where my bougie side comes in. I will not take a taxi.
Uber, you mean? Or you just won't do either?
No, I won't do a taxi.
Okay.
I'll do an Uber.
Okay.
But it's got to be an Uber Black.
Interesting.
So I got into an Uber. I would say probably like 6 years ago.
Gross.
fucking dude had cigarette holes all over his back seat.
Yes.
I'm like, do you just throw your cigarette butts in the back seat?
Right,
Like,
right.
is that your ashtray? Like, and I'm sitting on it,
Yes.
and I was dressed nice,
Right.
and I was like, I'm done with this.
Mhm.
I'm done.
So now you do the black because it's a legit.
It's got to be black.
Right.
They give you the water. You feel good.
Right. That's how Uber used to be when it first started.
Remember
it was
that?
only like limousines and town
Yes.
cars, and then they let any schmuck get the thing behind it. And now get someone pick you up in like their '92 Camry that is like running on fumes. You know what I mean?
On fumes,
Just to
right.
get you to the airport. You're
Exactly.
like, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and you're like, oh man, please just get
Yeah.
me where I need
That's
to go.
like, so if you want to go with the black car, that makes sense.
Yes, so I go black car, and like I said, that's where my bougie side goes in.
Right.
And again with the Airbnb, like I think we stayed at one. It was a nice place, and it was not a bad spot.
Right.
But I'd rather a hotel where I know.
That's what I was just going to say. You know 100% of what you're getting when you stay at Hilton. Or I stayed at a place called the Drury in Phoenix.
Hell yeah.
Do you ever stay at one of them?
No.
Really, if you ever get a chance, they're really nice, cheaper than like the big 4-star hotels.
Okay.
Had a pool. They had a 2-hour happy hour that they did for free for all the guests in the hotel with food. So like you knew exactly what you were getting there as opposed to renting someone's shed behind their house that
Love
the
it.
pictures don't look the same as they did that they posted online. Like I rented a place, I mistakenly thought it had air conditioning and it didn't. So I had to sleep a night with like all the windows open. Which
And the moths are coming in.
everything, the noise, people driving their cars by. So
Just like it's like Tommy Boy.
exactly. But if you had the hotel, you know, you got the air conditioner, you close the big double blinds, and you're good. You don't have to worry about it.
Speaking of no one's looking. So I will get deep with you on this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yep. Gear up.
Shoot.
What makes Mike McDermott do the things that he does? What
I have this little person in my head that runs on a hamster wheel.
is it, like little Gazoo?
Now, do you ever see Men in
from-
Black when the face comes off? and
Oh,
it's like a little
yeah.
alien. That's what I got going on. Yeah.
Orion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the cat's necklace. Yeah. That's honestly, besides that voice, I don't know. It's just
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pain and suffering that comes behind people's paths.
oh sure, man. Yeah.
Not a lot of people will talk about it.
Sure.
I'm asking you to talk about it, if you want.
Sure.
I'd like to know what was the deepest thing that got you pushed. You know, and I know your dad got you into SEPTA. Having that conversation with him when you were going to quit, how hard was that?
I think it was more hard because like you know you're disappointing somebody. Like he did so much to get me in there and like help me to get in there, and then you're like, thanks, but I want to do something else. So like I think that's whether you internalize it with those words.
Did he understand?
To an extent, but at the same time, like your father's around the same. That generation was very different than we were. Like they having that job, staying at a job for 40 years, do like whatever it was, that was ingrained in them, and that's what they did. So that's what they wanted for us. They just wanted the best that they knew, the best that they could provide for us. And that was the best option that they had at the time. But for me, and I mean, I'm assuming for you too, that's not what was going to keep you, you know, going every day, get you out of bed every day.
Well, I would say we got into the late rounds with our fathers. Our fathers are probably very similar. My
Right.
dad was at his company 42 years. Your dad
Same
was at
here.
his company for 40 years.
Right.
You know, their mentality was you go to work for a company
Mhm.
and you put your time in, you do your thing, and they're going to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
We came in at the very end. I would say like probably 10 years before
Sure.
before they made their nut.
Mm-hmm.
And they came in and they started doing really well. And it wasn't like they were making $50,000 a year or $60,000 a year and, you know, working their ass off anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We missed that.
Mm-hmm.
We were, you know, shitting in our diapers. We were learning, we were growing, we were walking, we were talking, we started getting there. And then all of a sudden we started getting to our year, like 14 to 18, we started getting into our years of not understanding what we need to do. We always hey, go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Do your thing. Play baseball, play lacrosse, go to work.
Mm-hmm. Always have a job. Yeah.
Always have something going.
And you got to
And-
remember, they were raised by people who went through the Depression. Like my dad was one of 10 and lived in a 2-bedroom house in Southwest Philly. Like they didn't have like what I had growing up. Me and my sister had a single family home in Seacane in Delaware County where we didn't have to share a bedroom with anyone else. So the whole perspective on life was different. Like they almost were scared into working for the rest of their life so they didn't starve to death.
Right.
Meanwhile, me and you were eating fucking Elios on Friday. You know what I mean? We're eating Imperial on Friday night.
But the 30 years that they put in, they sat there and was like, if you put your hard work in, and we sat there, we're like, bro, what?
Right.
Like,
We were also told that if you go to college, you could skip most of that.
yes.
And just get this job making X amount of dollars and never have to worry about anything again.
That's a great point. We were told that you skip all that.
By getting a college
By
degree.
getting a college
makes you better
degree.
than everyone else who didn't have one, and you
Right.
can walk in and get a job.
And then we
False.
start going to work, and then we're
Mhm.
like, oh shit, well, we don't like this.
I was working in a warehouse with a degree from Drexel,
Right.
picking parts and putting them in a brown paper bag and stapling them so some mechanic would get it out the window.
Right.
And smoking 2 cigarettes every hour so I could stay outside. Like that's what the degree did for me at the time. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it was kudos for trying to help us, but at the same time, it's almost like that narrative switched as we were graduating. It's everyone had a degree, so now that
And-
degree wasn't as powerful anymore.
Well, the problem that I always say is that like we respected our fathers so much for everything that they have ever done for us, and they were very hard. They were hardworking people. Like there is no denying that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different,
Oh, it's very different. Yeah.
And it's not.
And your kids are going to be different.
Are you kidding?
But you
Like,
don't know how it's going to turn out because of what you're doing now is going to turn them in a certain way, and then they're going to do their thing.
exactly. Like I sat there and I always had a thought like my kids would take over, and I'm like,
They might not want to do that.
dude, they might not want to do this.
Mhm.
There might be like an AI tool later that's like a robot comes
Right.
and fixes your garage door, or
Right.
a robot sits there and types your paper for you,
Mhm.
and you're like, hey, bud, type me a paper because
Right.
I'm going to bed.
Right.
And here's AI typing our parents worked their asses off, and we respect that. Problem was that it was very hard for us to go away from it because how much admiration that we had for them.
Sure.
And we didn't want to disrespect them. We didn't want to disappoint them. That was one of my biggest fears
I agree,
is
yeah.
the disappointment.
Yeah.
So I never worked at my dad's company. Thank God. I would have had a heart attack
Right.
feeling the way I feel.
Right.
I don't know how you felt that when you told your dad, thanks for getting me in, but I'm out
Right.
and I'm going my way.
That's how. I mean, you pretty much summed it up there. I just felt very like you're disappointing someone.
Yeah.
Like you're just letting them down by not
Yeah.
like following your path, but it's just like doing what you want to do.
And it's not just somebody.
Right. It's your
It's
father.
our
Yeah,
father. That's our hero.
Right.
Like that's somebody we look up to.
Right.
That's somebody that we followed for years,
Right.
learning every bit of
Right.
like, all right, here's their good, here's their bad. Let me take a little bit of portion of middle.
Right. Right.
I got my dad's anger.
Right.
I got my dad's manners.
Right.
I know what they do, and I'm in the middle with it.
Right.
You don't ever want to bring out the street in me.
Right.
You don't ever want to bring out the good in me, but
Right.
like I'm right here.
Right.
When you go that route with your decisions, and you feel like you hurt your father, or you hurt your mother, or you hurt your sister, or you hurt your family,
Right.
whether you're married or with kids and this
Right.
and that, and you're doing it. What keeps you going?
Going back to one of the first things you said, man, when the oxygen comes down from the airplane, if you don't take care of yourself first, you can't take care of anyone else. You can't pour from an empty cup. So if you are full of depression and you just don't like the life you're living because you're doing it for someone else, and the fear
Right.
that you're going to disappoint someone who probably won't be disappointed if they really do love you because they'll want you to pursue whatever's going to make you happiest,
Mm.
that's You know what I mean? Like you got to put your mask on first because I
Yeah.
can't help you if I'm dead. So I got
Right.
to fill my cup and then I could pour into your cup. And as much as you're dreading feeling that, disappointment in someone or having someone disappointed in you, it's almost worse than living an inauthentic life where you're just dealing with all this shit internally just to make someone on the outside happy, you know?
It's wild that people won't put their mask on first. I see many people who have families and this and that, and the wives are running the roost, and that's fine. Like, dude, like my wife runs the roost. Like, good, do your thing.
Right.
I will follow, but I am going to do this. But we are going to discuss this.
Sure.
There are a lot of people who the wives are like, you ain't doing that.
Right.
I need you here.
Right.
If I'm here, how am I making money?
Right.
If I'm doing that, how am I making money?
Right.
And it doesn't matter. Like you can go to work for somebody. You can do this. You could do that. You could do that. Anything. What the hell are you doing?
Right.
Why are you stopping your money flow?
Right.
Either way, I get so wrapped up in all this, but I want to go back to you and your spirituality and like how you found your path. Like when did the spirituality is that a word? I don't even know.
No, it is.
Dylan, is that a word? Look that up.
Spirituality, yeah.
Give me Webster definition spirituality. I don't even know if I say it right. Maybe I put some
You're
peanut
good.
butter in my
Spirituality, yeah,
maybe
you
I
got
put
it.
some peanut butter in my my mouth and I'm
That sounds
Mr.
good.
Ed.
What was that? What was the question?
When did you find your spirituality? How old were you? Like what? Like how long did it take?
Ooh, I don't know, man. I think I'm still on that path right now. Like it's
Okay.
just a constant. I mean, I was raised Catholic. I received literally all the sacraments. I was married. I was
Mhm.
baptized the whole 9 yards.
Oh no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the spirituality on life. Like you sat there and like you go and get right when you're not feeling right. You had a anxiety attack going on to a plane and you ruined an entire trip. The spirituality in that regard to uh to a business sense, to a mental sense, to a personality sense, like when did you stop or when did you start doing this?
Honestly, I don't know if I could pinpoint. I feel like it's just a
Oh,
lifelong process of
it's
just
it,
trying to like weed out the things that you don't want to be or you don't want in your life and you want in your life. And it's like the more going back to books, the more you read, it just, you
mm,
read one book. It's like you read a book on near death experiences and then you read a book on people who had near death experiences and then it leads you into something else. That's something into Buddhism or Hinduism or Tao, whatever it may be. And you take all this stuff and you try and incorporate it in your life, regardless if you're going at a relationship, a business venture,
mm,
or a podcast, whatever it may be. It kind of all of that stuff shapes who you are. So it's like how I'm coming out to the world is an amalgam of all the things that I've tried to put in. And like you're saying with your father, taking the good shit and not, taking the bad shit also, but like realizing that you don't want to put that out. So like you
right,
you take everything you can and you just try and make the best Mike possible to make that next best decision. And regardless of that outcome of that decision, make sure that Mike is going to be okay,
right,
whether it works out or whether it doesn't. You're still Mike Sage.
yeah,
You're still here. You know what I mean? Whether the person calls you and says, "Hey, I can sell it," or "Hey, I can't sell it," you're still good. And it's because of all those things that you've kind of put together that got you to where you want to be that show you how to like keep going, to walk that path or to find that path. And I don't think anyone cannot be on their path. I think everything that you do everywhere in your life is part of that path. And it's just going to keep getting you. My favorite people, Ram Dass, I mean, he's not here anymore. Dr. Richard Alpert would just say, we're all just walking each other home. Like everyone has a different path. We're all doing different things. We're all incorporating different things.
love that
But we're
saying.
all just trying to get home. You know what I mean? We're all
Yeah,
just trying to get home. And regardless of what your path is, I just don't want to make it harder. If I can help you, I can help you.
mm,
But whatever that path is, however you got to that spirituality, that soul, that perspective, whatever the words are, the nouns you use to describe it, it's just every experience that you've ever had in this life and how it comes out through who you are. I think as long as you're authentic with yourself and the things that you say and do, you're the same in business, you're the same in relationships, you're the same in if you're coaching, whatever it may be. like one of the coolest things this dude Tanner that I worked with at JG Real Estate ever said to me. He was like, dude, you're one of the realest people I've ever met. He's like, you just shoot me straight all the time. If I need help, you help me. If there's something you could do. And I think about him like Tanner was the man, but I think about that all the time. It's like, and that's just how I want to be perceived. I never want to be one of those people that say, oh, it's business. I hate that excuse when someone says, oh, it's just business. I feel like that's just a cop out for being I'm a jerk off. This is how I'm gonna treat you because I honor money more than I do a personal relationship or how you are. So like to me, that's never an excuse I want to use. It was just business. I just want to be authentic in every fucking part of my life. That's one of my biggest fears, being construed as not authentic in whatever I'm doing. So that's kind of why I'm so open with all my shit. And I don't care like what I talk about or what I say, because I am what I am. Like you can, one of my favorite quotes is from Popeye. I am what I am. And that's what I am. Like, that's it. That's so like, you either take me and love me or leave me alone. So
Shane McDermott said that in
Airborne.
Airborne.
So that was like my other Instagram. My personal Instagram is Mitchell Goosen.
And people, Mitchell Goosen, that's your
so many
service.
people at the gym will call me Mitchell, and I've never corrected anyone. And then like people who know my name be like, "Why did you just call you Mitchell?" I'm like, "I don't know. He thought my Instagram name was my real name, so I never corrected him." So now there's people that know me as Mitchell. There's people who call me Mike. But it's still one of my favorites.
He's a surfer, rollerblader,
California that moves to Ohio. Yeah,
he quotes Popeye.
Down Devil's Backbone. Such a good movie.
Last guy I saw walk down that, he was like all messed up and walked down.
Isn't Jack Black in that too?
Yeah,
that's such a good movie.
He was Augie.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the goal. Yeah. But did I answer your question with the spirituality? Does that make sense?
No, I don't think I lost every bit of interest ever since you said Popeye. I was like, I'm done.
I actually thought about getting that tattooed on me because I like that quote so much. I am what I am.
Like just like one
him,
words all down your arm.
Now, you know what I was thinking? Like him on the ship with like a bad storm behind him because he has. You ever seen his knuckles that says "Hold fast"?
Yeah.
Like he's holding on to the ship, and then just have underneath saying like "I am what I am," and that's what I am.
I love it
because I think it just sums me up. Like I am what I am. That's what
I was gonna say some tattoos I absolutely loathe. I'm like that.
I mean, I have zero.
I have zero too.
Right.
If I got a tattoo, I'd be the first sage to ever get one.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's not one sage that has a tattoo. Yeah, unless they have it on their wiener or their butt.
Or no one ever told you about it.
No one ever taught.
Damn.
Yeah. There would be one say, yeah. So we still have no sages with the tattoo.
Man, I would have swore your Uncle Frank would have had one.
No. I always thought he had a duck on his penis, but he like if
that's not where I was going.
If I brought him on the show, I would love to be like, just whip it out, dude.
Now you want to talk about someone who we always would admire and epitomize as the hardest worker, Frank Sage.
You're not.
There's
kidding.
not. I still talk about him to this day.
You're not.
Like
he's nuts. 25 sit-ups in the morning, 25 push-ups. Then he eats like bowls of fruit. Like, dude doesn't eat candy because he's got a sugar rush and he uses the sugar rush with the fruit.
But working 10 hours a day at Boeing, selling Christmas trees, selling flat, like whatever it was. Frank was working.
He had a fruit
moving.
truck.
Yeah, he was moving. And that's something we would admire when we were younger. I remember talking about it. Like Frank Sage, Chris's dad, is the hardest working dude you ever meet in your life.
He's a hustler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Selling like it's just and like going back to what you're saying, you admire that. But so like you kind of want to be that.
I don't think it was ever for the money.
No, I think Frank just couldn't slow down.
No, that, and I think it was because he loved his kids.
I would agree with that too. Yeah,
he was.
And if the outcome
like
is
the
money,
true. He was like the true American dad. You know, like it's a good business, and he knew like he had a business sense to him. He's like, but Boeing's my thing.
Right.
I could do this, and then my kids will take it.
Right. And the tents.
And that's what I'm saying. The tents, the like the fruit truck obviously was gone. But that's because the neighborhood turned. I don't think you could put a fruit truck out in Folsom.
No, I would doubt it. Yeah.
You know, but I think it would actually do well. Like right
this day and age, I think
right now, I think, you know, Produce Junction is no longer Produce Junction anymore. I think they sold out and got the shittier fruit. You know, Chris would probably be able to tell us a little bit more about this. He'd probably be like, oh, you don't know fucking fruit.
He's going to make fun of us for this.
Yeah, he's going to make fun of us for this. And I tell him wholeheartedly, I'm like, well, you know fruit. Like, how do I pick it? And he goes, go to the fucking store and get it. I'm like, he's like, if you get a bad one, you get a bad one. I'm like,
Right. Thanks, man.
can I push it? Like, can I pierce it? Can I take a bite of it? And like, he's like, just go get what you think is right. I'm like, all right, sorry to bother you.
Right.
Yeah, go build fucking helicopter, you prick. Now, the one thing I do want to bring up that is you brought up a few times today, and I want to get deep. You keep talking about life-taking type of opportunities for people and this and that. Did that ever come your way?
Like an opportunity that was going to change my life, you mean?
No. Did you ever think about taking your own life? Did you ever?
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry to
No,
word that
it's okay.
question differently.
It's all right. I thought you were talking about. So like I mean, I'm afraid to say yes to this because like who's going to listen to it? That would feel
Dylan's
hurt if
listening.
I mean, like if I like from my family. That
Oh
would
yeah,
hit it, you know what I mean?
yeah.
I've never really gone down the path of like, man, I'm gonna sound like a psycho here, of like thinking about it too much. But there is like something that people deal with when they have depression or, you know, any mental issues. I don't know use issues, but like any mental things going on. It's like, I don't, can I say the word S suicide? Like, can I, or not?
Shit.
Whatever. S ideology.
So yeah.
Like you don't like glorify it, but like it's just always kind of there, and it's
Yeah.
you don't control. It's I don't control my thoughts as much as you don't control your thoughts. Like if I said, "Don't think of a purple elephant right now," you're thinking of a fucking purple elephant. So like
I did.
exactly. So like to not think of that kind of stuff for someone who already has a lot they're dealing with up there it's almost impossible.
Mhm.
So like it's like kind of like you're not your brain's default, but it's just like it's like the dark side of your ego just trying to make you feel worse in your depression and to tell you like this is your only way out to like do something like this, which rationally we all know is never, 99% of the time it's never the solution. And I'm not justifying it.
I was gonna say, well, one of the things that men do, right, is they have like a sexual thought every 7 seconds. Is
I
that
would say something like
I
that,
was
yeah.
gonna say I don't know the actual
Right. But you're a dude,
statistics
you know
on it,
what
but
is,
I'm
yeah.
getting to that point.
Right.
So like when you have a bad day, like when I have a bad day, you go outside and you sit down on the porch and you listen to the birds chirp and you're like, man, I could fucking end it right now.
Right.
Like, would that make it better?
No.
It's not
Right.
not a suicidal thought. It's just like, dude, would it just end?
Mm-hmm.
No, it wouldn't end.
Right.
Are you kidding me? Like, dude up there got us, he's probably
Right.
got jobs lined up for us. Like, I don't want to be a bagger.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that again.
Right.
Like, I don't want to start at the bottom.
Right.
Like I'm 40 years old. I'll wait till I'm 80, 87, 97, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure when those jobs come available, when we get called up at those ages, like they're not going to make us bag groceries. Like you remember the scene in Shawshank Redemption when
Yeah.
he's sitting there bagging and he's like, I can't do it anymore. He's like, maybe I'll just kill the boss and I go back to where I love.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do that.
Right.
I don't want to come out and bag groceries again. Like, I love life, but we do come from times that we think about, like, oh man, would it be easier just to end it? No, it's not easier.
Right.
It's just another problem. Like now your bad day is becoming 50 fucking million people's other bad
Right, you gotta
day.
spread it out. Yeah.
You like, you're a selfish prick when you do that shit.
Mhm.
And I understand that there's a lot of mental load that goes on to it, but you're selfish. Say there's 30 people in your family. You take your shit because you had a bad day.
Mhm.
Now they all have
Mhm.
bad weeks, months, years,
Years,
depending
lives,
on depending on your relationship with who you are.
Right.
So you said it a lot today, and that's why I wanted to ask you:
Sure.
is it something that you deal with on a daily basis? Is it something that you deal with on an hourly basis?
Now, I would say it's more when I was like in the worst situations I could be in, and you just are by yourself. You go down the road in your head, and it's just something that not manifests, but like you end up having those thoughts about.
Right.
And honestly, I would say, I don't say I have any of my shit under control, but I did start meditating, and what that has done for those dark thoughts is like I can't real I mean I could describe it, but it just sounds weird. It's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah. No. I mean, you keep some things you can keep to yourself.
right. No, I'm not. I don't care about. Like I'm just saying.
I'm not saying that you have to enlighten, but I'm saying there's some things that you keep to yourself, and you're like, you know what? Like I saw a hawk today.
Right.
I keep that to myself.
Right.
I enjoyed that. Like
Right.
it was nice to see.
Sure.
You know,
Right.
what was it? Oh my God, Stand By Me.
Okay. Great movie. Yeah.
When he saw the deer,
Right.
he's like, I never told anybody about
Right.
it, but I saw it, and it was enjoyable morning for him.
Right.
Never told any of his friends, and they were on a journey to see a dead guy.
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
so like, there are certain things that, like, when you're meditation, there are certain thoughts that come through our heads that, hey, we don't need to talk about.
Right.
But we can enjoy talking about the meditation part.
Right. Right.
We can enjoy like, hey, it was awesome.
Right.
It was great. You don't need to know my thoughts.
Oh, I don't care about that at all. And like we talked about it before. I'm open with a lot of this stuff because I want not normalize it, but I just want people who hear it that are going through the similar shit that are afraid to talk about it, or are afraid to do any or hurt themselves, realize that like other people go through this shit too. But that doesn't make it okay. It just means that like you're not alone. That like if you can get through this little bit dark period right now, it's going to get better. It might get shitty again, but it's going to get better, and then it'll get shitty. So like it's like that's why I don't mind talking about any stuff, or I could do a whole podcast. It's just you want to be open about it.
I know you want to start something like this, right? And I think it's admirable. I love it. I love the fact that there would be an outlet for somebody that's not a therapist.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of therapy.
That's the whole nother thing with dudes. Like, did you know 75% of all suicides are men?
Yes.
75%. That's a fucking huge number.
Yeah.
Most dudes I talk to are against any kind of therapy, anything like that, because whatever they have in their head, and they don't even want to have the conversation. But I'll die on the hill. I'll die on the hill with anybody that talk therapy is a great way to start for anything because go ahead, you can.
Well, no, I was going to say that the one thing I wanted to ask you is, do you think that if you don't have any type of training in this, do you think you can help somebody? So like, say someone calls into your show and they're like, yo, I'm on the verge.
Right.
Can you handle that?
Me personally, the only thing when you said that, the only thing I could think of is tell someone that I love them.
Yeah.
Like just that's, again, go back to like Ram Dass is like when someone's in a moment of like trauma, whatever it is, just be a loving rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Love them as much as you can. Don't ask questions.
Don't tell them they were wrong.
Exactly. Just be a rock, but love them as much as you can. Yeah. So like, do I feel like I could help anyone with that? I would say probably not. But have I been in positions where people have called me or asked me things or what? Again, got to Puerto Rico. I was there 2 or 3 years ago and I meet people all the time. I met this older couple. We were having dinner at a place called the Harbor, like out watching the sunset. I actually saw, Brian Iggy.
Who?
Brian Iggy, you're older than this, went to Ridley, played basketball, like really successful, big family.
Yeah.
So I saw him there that night. His family has a house in there, but different story. So anyway, I'm talking to this guy, and he says something about his son's depression and how scared he is that his son's not going to be able to get out of their house or do anything because he's so debilitated by this depression and everything he's going through with the drugs, and he doesn't understand it because he never had it and knowing his friends, and he thinks it's kind of shit. Whatever. Long story short, me and him, I was crying with this guy into the night because I told him my fucking story, that I've been to really dark places before. I thought I wasn't going to do shit. I still don't have the highest opinion of myself, but here the fuck I am in Puerto Rico talking to you about how to help your kid with depression. I gave him my phone, like whatever the fuck it is. So while I might not be capable to do it, I'm going to fucking try.
I was going to say, God throws people in our path to show us like, hey dude, maybe this is your calling.
Right. Every person has a piece of the puzzle.
You don't need the training.
Exactly, yeah.
And so I would pay for more experience than a person that went to grad school.
Right. Like talking to a therapist who's never
experienced
suicidal thoughts or depression. Yeah. It's hard to relate because you don't really understand what I'm saying.
And they sit there and they're like, well, the book said.
Right.
You know what?
Or they're going to call someone because you said something that's too scary.
That's the same jerk off blackjack player who's like, well, the book says
Right,
this.
right.
Well, you know what the fucking book says?
Right. Nothing about me. 'Cause I'm
Nothing
not like a
about
book.
me.
Yeah.
Exactly. They don't know how the room's reading. They don't know how this is going. They don't know how any of that's going.
Right.
So talk about what you want. Like you were telling me right before the show, you may want to start something like a podcast or something like that to talk about this very thing, I believe,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. I mean,
So
the idea was just kind of like, honestly, I didn't want to be real. Like, I didn't want to be involved. I wanted to have the podcast, but not be involved in it at all. My idea was to hear stories from people who were successful in MMA, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, combat sports, guys that we look at it as like,
I love
these
the
guys are
name.
too tough.
I
You know
love
what I
the
mean?
name.
They wouldn't do anything. But talk to people who have been through this shit and who have gone to therapy and who have attempted their life or all this stuff and who have reason or can talk to you about the other side, how to get the hell out of it. One guy that comes to mind, his name's Tom DeBlas. He came to 2 years ago. A friend of mine passed away training jiu-jitsu while we were there. Really traumatic experience. And we had a fundraiser a couple months later. Tom DeBlas, who's a real big name in the jiu-jitsu community, came out, but he's very open with his depression and all the stuff that he goes through. He's a big follower of Jesus, but he deals with a lot of shit, mentally. And my thought was just to get people like that on, tell their story, be honest, so whoever's listening knows that shit gets better and you don't have to do the worst case scenario.
Right.
And there's other people out there who've done things that you can do that are real fucking men. You know what I mean? Like if you look at someone like Tom DeBlas, you're not going to tell him he's a pussy because he went to therapy. Tom will rip your fucking head off.
Right.
So like if you see Tom going to therapy, like, shit, Tom does it. Why can't I do it?
Right.
You know what I mean? But
Tony
that was my
Soprano
thought.
did it.
Exactly. Tony Soprano or Khalil Roundtree.
Yep.
Just one of UFC, like big black dude, jacked.
Yep.
Lost to Poetan by like nobody in the world could beat this dude up. And this dude talks about his openness with depression, going to therapy, psychiatry, and all this stuff. And if he can do it, why the fuck can't you do it? You know what I mean?
What was the name of it?
I don't know if I want to say it because I don't want anyone to take it. It's not.
Well, can you TM it? Dylan, can we TM this? He's like, I don't give a fuck what you do.
I mean, if I was going to call it grappling with depression.
So I had to explain what grappling was to the wife.
Right.
She immediately thought wrestling.
Yeah.
I was like, see, I thought grappling hook.
Could be, yeah.
I don't even know what the hell the grappling hook is.
You're climbing up a building.
Yeah, when you're climbing up a building, right?
Depression is the building. You got to get to the top.
I didn't know what that meant. And then when I started watching MMA in 2020, I really got into it.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. It was the only sport going for
Right.
a minute, and it was great. But grappling is when you're on the ground, right?
Yeah.
And you're dealing with
another man who's using all his strength to
yeah,
subdue, or
right.
submit you.
And you're on your thing, and you're using your legs, and you're maneuvering their power to you, and dude, it's fantastic. It's like an artwork.
That's what depression does to you.
Yes, and that's
It's like
what
a
depression
wet
does.
blanket that's strong and just hangs on you.
Yeah, and Slide says it the best is like it's not how hard you can get hit. It's
right. It's not how hard you hit. It's how hard you can get hit.
Yeah, and keep moving forward. Right. That was it.
Sure.
Good job.
No, I know what you're saying.
And it's wild. I really admire people who can come out and say that, because I would say, what was it? The World War II, Vietnam war vets, they have a hard time discussing these things.
Oh my God, yeah.
And now we're all more in touch with our feelings, and as men, it kind of it's weird. Like we shouldn't be doing that.
Sure, we go back to Tony Soprano. You would be like, what's he say? Gary Cooper. The strong, silent type. Everybody wants to be like Gary Cooper.
Right.
Gary Cooper was gay. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's not who he was in the movies. He was probably a pretty open dude that did all this stuff, but like that's in a lot of people's heads now. They're like, I can't be like that. I'm too tough to be like this, to be open.
Yeah.
I mean, what, like this, another like weird quote, but like the fragility of a crystal isn't a weakness. It's a fineness. Right. It's what makes it valuable. So like, just because it's not strong as a diamond doesn't mean it's any worthless, like compared to a diamond. It's just different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And when I sit there and I think about you, like normally I'd be like, oh, what a pussy. Get through it.
Right.
Like get get right, get a beer,
Suck it up.
like you suck it up,
Yeah.
go do your thing and
Right.
relax. No.
But why do you think people fly off the fucking handle? Like, there's a
They're-
reason that tea kettles have that hole in the top. Because if they didn't, they'd fucking explode.
Yeah.
You got to get that steam and that pressure out.
Yeah.
That's all. That's why I tell people that's all therapy is. You take that top off for a little bit. You talk to someone about all the shit that's in here, and they're not going to come back and be like, "Well, don't say that to me. That's not my fucking fault that you did that." You know what I mean? You just talk to someone who's listening to you, and she goes, "Okay, I understand. Do you want me to help, or do you want me to just listen?" But once you get that shit out, you feel like a fucking weight is lifted off your shoulders.
Right.
Now, the next time someone looks you in the street, you're not like, "I'm going to kill this guy." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You might be like, "Hey, man, what's up? I like your shoes."
Yeah.
You know?
And then when you do meet that guy and he takes a deep breath and he's like, "It's exactly what I needed,"
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, "Oh damn, I just fucked that
Right,
up.
right.
I'm messed up. I'm gonna be done. I'm toast.
Mhm.
I got to figure out how to get out of this now."
But so many people are carrying that around,
Oh, yeah.
regardless, men or women. You know, it's just, and it's like, even if you don't look at it as therapy, just talk, find someone to talk to, get it out.
Right. And if you get it out, I feel like that's the best form of therapy is having a good friend or a podcast to talk about
Sure.
it with.
We were talking about the other day, journaling. It sounds corny, but what it does is it makes you sit there and actually write those words out. So when you say, "I just blah, 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 blah," that takes you a minute to write that out, and you have to think about it and then get it out. You can burn it, you do whatever you want, put it in your journal,
Right.
but it's out of here. You know what I mean? And it takes a little bit of effort to get it out. And then before you know it, you're just like, that's kind of like therapy. You're just getting the shit out of your head.
The more you keep in your head, I feel like the worse your day gets.
I agree 100%.
Because you carry that load, and carrying a load every day is like the
Wears you
one,
down.
the one guy, the professor, he's like, "How heavy is this
I know
glass
what
of
you're
water?"
talking about, yeah.
And they're like, "Well, it's like 8 ounces, 12 ounces," and
Mhm.
he's like, "Well, what if I held it for 4 hours?
Right,
What if I held it for a day?
right. Carried it around,
Like, it's gonna feel like it's 40 pounds."
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's what we
It's a
do
good
with-
analogy, yeah.
and I love his analogies because his analogy about like when he wrote the 12 problems on the board and one was wrong and they all laughed at him, and he was like 2 + 2 is 7,
Right.
and he's like, "But you didn't respond to any of the other problems that I did right. You only berated me for the one
Right,
problem that I
right,
did
right,
wrong."
right.
And we're all human. We all do bad things. We all do incorrect things. We're all subject
yeah.
to do amazing things. But what we get ridiculed for is our one thing
Right.
that we do wrong, or the one thing that we have a problem with. And I feel so bad for people that, they hold on to the one thing you did wrong. And look, there are some people that they do really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that. Were they ever good? Like, tell me the good that they were doing. I know that I do a million things right. I know I do a million things good. I know that I am a good-hearted person.
Right.
I do one bad thing, say one bad thing. That weighs on me
Right.
more than it does the person that it affected, and the person that it affected. Like, I'm not living that down forever.
Right. Right.
Like, that's it. We're
Right.
done. We're over.
Sometimes, I mean, I feel like we all do that though. Like, I've heard people say that. We're like, "Oh, your cousin said something to me 10 years ago that I'll never forget." You know what I mean? Or he said something to me that I'll never forget. And like, I think we all just like hang on to that. Well, not all of us, because that's a broad brush, but like most of us just hang on to that bullshit.
Well, I never understood why we understood. So, like, I was at the dinner with my family, and my sister-in-law brought up something when I was 15. I was like,
You never had the makings of a varsity athlete.
"Yeah,
Tony
right,
Soprano.
yeah, Tony Soprano."
Right.
And I sat there and I was like, "That's the identifier at 15."
Right.
Like, bro, I was going
You're
through
15.
my parents were going through a divorce. I
Right.
was going through a bunch of hormones. I was
Right.
like, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. Like,
Right.
you can't judge me on 15.
It was 30. No, wait, 25 years ago? Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
25 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's the story you bring up. Like, I did a bunch more worse shit later, and that's it.
That bother you because that's how she remembered it?
And and I'm like, man, that's how you see me.
You think she said it to get a rise out of you?
You know what? She always breaks my balls, and I love breaking her balls back. And she, like, I love her to death. Don't get me wrong. But it just made me think of, like, man, 15, like,
I know what you mean.
man, we're still going back that long. And I love her. And look, she's always been a ball breaker. Sure. I have always been a ball breaker to her. And we probably never had a serious conversation in our life. But, you know, I still love her. And, you know, it's my brother's wife. That's, you know, she's amazing. But when you go to identify her, it's like, man, come up with something more recent. Do something a little bit better. I've done a lot of things. I said a lot of things, and more importantly, like a joking matter, because I became a clown with certain people, because if they're never going to think that I'm going to be a serious person, why would I ever try to be a serious person with them? You know?
Makes sense, yeah.
And you get to that point, like, there are certain people that will be like, oh yeah, Mike McDermott, he's a clown. Why would I ever have a conversation with you? Why would I have any type of serious conversation with you? Why would I tell you any of my deepest secrets if you're never going to take me serious? Why would I? Why would I?
I agree with what you're saying, yeah.
You know?
That's just how some people are, though, man. And it's like, you can either react in a negative way and let it hurt you, or just like, man, I can't believe they still hold on to that shit. You know what I mean? Like, that was 25 years ago. I think it just, I mean, I'm not trying to tell you anything, but it's just like how you accept that gift. You know what I mean? Like, if I gave you a gift, I was like, here, Mike, and you just didn't take it, I just have the gift. You know what I mean? So, like, I understand what you're saying, but that would go up my ass sideways, because I automatically assume any joke made has some kind of truth behind it. And so if someone says something with a little bit of like, oh, that time you did that, you know what I mean? You're like, well, yeah, you're kind of joking, but you're also kind of like making fun of me. So it's like, you know what I mean?
No, I understand. And like, you made it a point to make it like a serious thing.
Correct. Yeah. Right.
I know.
But people are people, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, people are people. Hey, look, I don't hate on anybody for breaking my balls, and I like yes, I carry the weight, but that's my problem, not theirs.
But we also have to consider the source too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
like if I carried that around forever, that's my problem. Like, I have to figure that out. Not
I
them.
agree with that 100%.
And if somebody comes to me and they tell me about a situation, I'm like, Jesus Christ, why are you bringing that up? I didn't even think about that in 25 years. All right, yeah. Now I got another thing. Now I got another thing that I got to work on, because now that's my problem, not theirs. Yeah, they bring it to my attention, but it is what it is. Now,
shoot.
As we're going to wrap up, I always ask everybody what they would tell their
younger
selves, what you would tell anybody coming up. But I want to know, what kind of advice would you give yourself now if you were younger?
Like my younger self talking to me now?
Yeah. Like when your younger self, say 18 years old, not a care in the world, graduating high school, you had the world by the balls, you didn't give a shit. What would you tell yourself? Because now what we would tell ourselves is not to do this, but our younger selves would be like, suck it the fuck up.
Have some fun,
Have some fun, dude.
My younger self would think I'm such a dork right now compared to what we used to do. You know what I mean? That's a good question. I think it would just be like to have fun. Because like as we get older, everything becomes like this, a job, depression, family, work, bills, whatever. But like we just, like you're saying, you forget to look at the fucking hawk that's flying by and realize that like that's a fucking creature, you know what I mean? That's been evolved for millions of years. That could have been a dinosaur if you believe in that stuff. But like, and now it's here alive with me, flying in the sky 30 feet above it. Sometimes that's what life is. Like just breathe a little bit, have some fun, and like realize that you're gonna be different than you were when you were fucking 18. You know what I mean? Like in another 18 years, shit's gonna be a lot different. You could be Mike might be a billionaire. You know what I mean? Who the fuck knows what the next couple years holds?
I like your fucking app.
Right.
Let's go. I'll take billion.
I mean, you don't know. You know what I mean? In the next 18, so it's just like
I'm gonna have to give Dylan 25%.
enjoy the ride. Take it easy. Shit, you could 25% of a billion. What's that? Like $50?
Yeah. After taxes
And the other fees. But yeah, I guess that's what I would say. I mean, I don't know how long my 39-year-old self and 18-year-old self could hold a conversation before my 39-year-old self would be like, shut the fuck up, man. Like, you just want to
Do you
drink
think
and go to
would
the
you
Phillies
ever want
games?
to have that conversation?
Oh, fuck yeah. Just
I
to
get
see.
nervous. I always think about that. I'm like, would I be able to have a conversation with my
Probably not.
So if we told ourselves, you know, as we're 39, 40 and telling our 18-year-old selves, don't do this.
Right.
We'd be like, suck a dick.
Right.
Because we had a mentality like
You knew what you were
you
doing.
couldn't tell me shit.
Mm-hmm.
I took so many bad advices, but you couldn't tell me anything.
Right. But if you went back and changed anything you did, you might not be here right now.
I probably cracked myself in the jaw.
Really?
Oh my God, yeah. It'd be like, I got you.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, but see, if you didn't do all those things you did that you would change.
It would have never shaped me to be
That's what
I
I'm
am
saying.
today.
Yeah. You
It's
might
like
not be sitting here-
it's like a polished rock in the creek.
Yeah. We're like Back to the Future.
I'm
Marty
sorry
goes back and
for Dylan. Creek.
That's all. I mean, that's all it is. Like it's
The
just.
crick.
You didn't even listen.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, he doesn't listen to us.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how long I'd be able to hold the conversation, but it'd be interesting. Probably be a little taken back by the time travel aspect. Like, where the fuck am I right now?
Yeah.
My parents' fucking shore trailer.
Awesome.
That's where we were when we were 18 that summer.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the 18-year-old self be like, you say you work from where?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now I'm gonna kill you.
Right.
Yeah. You're no. This doesn't happen.
Right.
No, I love it. So again, that was a fun question.
Shoot.
Aspiring entrepreneurs, people that are going to go into your path, you know, it is possible to be on your own terms, raising money, doing your thing. The fear is always going to be there.
Sure.
What can you tell people that really are going to get out of their comfortability? Like,
Right.
how do you get out of your comfort zone?
I think you have to realize your anxiety's a liar, and then all the good shit is outside your comfort zone. Like
Mhm.
everything that you're comfortable with doing is sure it's cool, it makes you feel good, and there's a lot of things that probably serve you. But like if you were just to hop on a plane right now and go to North Dakota and start bouncing around,
Mm.
like that is way out of your comfort zone. But you're gonna meet people, you're gonna see things, you're gonna do things, and those things are gonna affect how your life goes on. So like you could either sit in your couch and go on your computer all day and do the same things you do every day, or you get out of your comfort zone and you realize that anxiety is a liar. Use that fear to keep you going as an energy and just keep going forward. Like
Right.
that voice in your head, listen to it, but like don't realize it's not you. You're just the silent observer of those thoughts and just keep going. Do what is going to make this shit happy. Fuck everything else.
Right.
If this isn't happy, this isn't going to be happy. And regardless of how much money or shit you accumulate, it's not going to fill that hole. So like you have to, regardless of what it is, you just be true to yourself. I heard something. If you sit with yourself for 30 minutes to 60 minutes, whatever your issue is, whatever you have going on, sit and think of that, whatever that is, for 30 to 60 minutes, and you will come out of that time with knowing exactly what you should do. But I'm not talking about going on the internet. I'm not talking about think about anything else or do anything else. Find that thought, think about it for 30 minutes. Whatever you want to do, you'll come out on the other end and knowing what you're going to do. How many people would actually do that? Probably less than 5%. And how many people are going to act on that? That's even less. But all the stuff that you're going through, your anxiety and your fear is completely normal for humans. Just ride with it. You know what I mean? This might be a weird thing, but when I have really bad anxiety, I imagine it's like this little fucking monster on my shoulder, like an anxiety
Little
monster.
gazoo.
Oh, yeah, but like it's almost like just like this thing that's on my shoulder, and it's not me. I don't identify with it, but guess what? He's fucking here.
Yeah.
He's making my heart race. He's making my mind race. He's making all the physiological effects, and I'm just like, all right, just breathe it the fuck through, breathe it out. This thing's gonna be fucking gone in a minute, and then you just deal with whatever the fuck it is. So like, if your anxiety's there, your fear is there, that's what makes you brave. Is by walking forward with those things, you know, there. Not everyone can just wake up and be like, this is what I want to do. I have full confidence in myself. I know it's going to work and I'm going to make it happen. Very few people are like that. Most people are like me and you, where they doubt themselves every step of the way, doubt everything they've done their entire life every step of the way, but for somehow just keep pushing forward,
Right.
whatever it is. Because at the end of the day, when you're laying in bed with Maddie, if you're not fucking happy, if you're both not happy, what the hell are you doing it for?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Really, regardless of what, because all the money in the world is not going to solve your issues.
Right.
It'll help. You'll be able to eat the best food and do whatever you want, but you're going to find yourself driving a $100,000 car with these nice clothes on, and it's like you're trying to like staple food to your body because you're hungry. It's not satiating you. You know what I mean? You got to find what drives you.
Yeah.
And listen to it. Trust yourself. It's hard for me to say because
No,
you know what I mean?
That's fantastic advice. I love it.
Just trust yourself.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
No.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, Michael McDermott, thank you so much. Hey, Mike McDermott, real estate. Check him out on, how can we find you? On
Instagram's
Instagram?
probably the best way. Yeah.
And what's the Instagram?
Mike McDermott Real Estate, MikeMcDermott Real Estate. Follow me, send me a message, whatever.
Love it. And you have a fantastic bow tie in your shirt there.
Thank you.
Love it. Hey, thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you. It was a pleasure understanding how your path came to possible. We are signing out today. Hey, look, I would love to hear a part 2 in a few months, to just kind of see where you're at. I hope that you get your business up and running. Speaking with grappling
With depression.
with depression. I love it. There are so many people that grapple with it and they just never come to it. I hope you come to fruition with this.
Maybe this will be the spark I need. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe this spark you need. Young Junk, thank you so much. Amazing time. Dylan, you're amazing.
Thank you,
Love
Dylan.
you.
You're the man,
My wife still thinks that we're doing something together. But either way, hey,
They are, Maddie.
thank you so much. Have an amazing, amazing day. Appreciate everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Dylan. You're the man, dude.
Young John!